What's good, YouTube? So in today's video we're going to be talking about YNW Melly and his murder case, right? Now some of y'all should know that his double murder case was actually declared, well, the judge declared it a mistrial. So a lot of persons, I guess, they think that YNW Melly will actually be freed, and that's not the case. So I'm going to be explaining what's going to happen as it relates to this whole YNW Melly situation, right guys? But before I go any further in the topic, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and also make sure y'all turn the notification bell on, that way you can get notified whenever I post a new video. Alright guys, so let's get to this article. This will explain things a little bit better. Alright guys, so the article is saying YNW Melly double murder case judge declared a mistrial. Florida rapper Jamel Demons, also known as YNW Melly, is one step closer to being a free man after the jury in his first degree murder trial could not overcome a deadlock after deliberating for over 14 hours, resulting in the judge declaring a mistrial. YNW was on trial for allegedly taking out two of his friends, Christopher Thomas, called YNW Juvie, and Anthony Williams, also called YNW Sack Chaser. Melly had a tired look in court, no doubt exhausted from the court trial, but he mustered a big smile in court minutes before the jury sent a note to the judge, John Murphy III, informing him that they could not arrive at a unanimous decision. The rapper could not hold back his smile after his attorney Stuart Alderstein spoke to him as he re-entered the courtroom after all parties were summoned. Judge Murphy has set a status hearing for July the 28th after thanking the jury for their service. Prosecutors Bradley did not appear pleased with the decision by the jury and failed to stand to address the court and judge, as she indicated that she wanted to start within the 90 days as the next steps. Defense counsel Alderstein, however, asked that the status hearing be set as to what's next for YNW Melly. The rapper's attorney will need to file for bond. This, however, does not mean that he won't face another trial, as the prosecution has 90 days to decide to file for a new trial. The events over the last few days have been nail-biting, to say the least, as the jury indicated very early on after they were sequestered that there was a deadlock. The jury in Melly's trial is a dead qualified jury, meaning that if 8 of the 12 had agreed that Melly was guilty, then the rapper would have faced a death penalty. YNW Melly was on trial for allegedly taking out two of his friends whom he had known since elementary and middle school, and later formed the YNW Collective. The victims, Juvie and Sack Chaser, were taken out on the night of October the 26, 2018 in Broward County, allegedly in a drive-by shooting. According to Melly co-defendant Cortland, YNW Bartland Henry, but the prosecution claims that 3 men were taken out by their friends Melly, and he was assisted by Bartland, who took the victims to the hospital and claimed that they were taken out in a drive-by to cover up their crime. The prosecution case was not atypical of a murder trial, as there were very little tangible evidence tying to the killings of Melly, in that nothing concrete existed to say that he did it. No weapon, no DNA, no clues from the murder, etc., which is speculated to have influenced the decision by the jurors. Prosecutor Christine Bradley, however, made out a strong case theory using cell phone data from the rapper's cell phone, data from surveillance footage in and around Broward from traffic stops and restaurants in the area, all guided by geotrafficking data from the phone's location tracker and cell tower information. It was fascinating how Bradley used circumstantial evidence to make links and, in some cases, corroborate other evidence that exists, along with testimony from witnesses, to fill out the gap in painting the picture as to what happened according to the prosecution. Among the strong evidence presented by the prosecution was that of the text messages from YNW Melly, where he seemingly confessed "I did that" after being asked if he was in the drive-by and was fine, and in another where he and his manager had a dispute and he seemingly claimed that he owed Bortland for doing one of the realest stuff for him. There are also other texts where he asked his mother Jamie King and his friend fellow rapper Fredo Bang for a firearm. As for motive, the prosecutor could not tie down one single motive, which may have been disadvantageous to the prosecution. She revealed that there was a dispute over a multi-million-dollar deal that was going to have to be split 4 ways, hinting that Melly got rid of his friends over their claims to the YNW brand. Other more convincing evidence was that of the crime scene reconstruction expert Sergeant Chris Williams, who gave convincing testimony that debunked the claim that the men were taken out in a drive-by shooting. Williams spoke about the one back seat of the grey SUV, which forensic tests revealed had zero blood or DNA compared to the one Sack Chaser sat in, and Juvie, as well as the driver, Bartlett's seat and shirt, highly suggesting that someone else was in the car. The door next to that seat confirmed evidence from demons. The nature of the shooting was also presented using forensic and reconstruction technology, close range within 3 to 12 inches, and the stippling tattoo on Juvie's face, a burn mark from the gunpowder as the weapon was fired, which could have only come from a shot fired from within the car. Further, the trajectory of the projectile proved that the car was shot up while it was parked and the back door was open, as well as the fact that the tires and the rims of the car were undamaged. Even more disturbing was the fact that the crime scene investigators combed the Broward County area where the drive-by reportedly took place, but no evidence link, broken glass, sharp nail, spent shells or blood was found. The prosecutor also showed videos of YNW Melly leaving the studio with victims and entering the car with them hours before what happened. Instead, the prosecutor presented evidence from Melly's cell phone, data traced from Melly's cell phone showing that the phone was at a dead end of an old manufacturing plant where prosecutors claim the incident took place. There was just one issue with all of this. The evidence presented by the prosecution came together less than 2 months before the trial, which the defense used to instill doubt in the minds of the jury as to whether the prosecution satisfied its burden. The defense only called 2 witnesses, as of whom was Travion Glass, a friend of Melly, who was with him on the night of what happened and who joined the second car as 8 of them left the music studio in South Florida. Glass claimed that demons joined the car he was in and he saw him go back to the house and entered his room. Contrary to his earlier statements made to the cops, the prosecution contended that Melly had took out the 2 men. He used his cell phone to call for a pickup. The evidence hinted that Fredo Bang picked up Melly, but Bang was not called as a witness. Glass also claimed that he saw YNW Melly later at Fredo's house in fresh clothes, but understand he said he couldn't remember the artist's clothing and that they were all distraught after finding out about what happened, so he couldn't remember. In the meantime, the testimony by Glass extended an alibi to Melly, but also humanized him as being sorrowful after his friends were taken out. Adelestine had reminded the jury how they should determine if there is a reasonable doubt in Melly's case, examine whether there was a lack of evidence, if there was a reasonable doubt from evidence, or a conflict as to the evidence presented. The defense stronger arguments came out in closing, where Adelestine reminded jurors that there were no eyewitnesses to the shooting, no weapon was found, and there was no evidence that his client changed his clothing he was earlier in on the night of what happened, after he left the studio into something different, which he showed up in the hospital after he learned about his friend passing. I suggest to you there is absolutely no evidence whatsoever to show premeditation, and the last one we agree with, and they agree with, the Miramar Police Department lacks the training. Those aren't my words, Adelestine pointed out, saying that both the prosecutor and one investigator admit that there were some hiccups with the investigation. Further, the fact that the phone used by prosecutors was also used by others raised doubt, as well as Glass claiming that YNW Melly had lost his phone on the night of what happened while they were at Fredo Bank's house. The defense came up strong in cross-examination of the prosecution witnesses as it questioned Police Detective Kelly about other leads that they failed to investigate, and the fact that only 2 months ago they determined the DNA evidence of Melly's from the car, having previously not found anything. However, the detective held firm, responding that the police department had initially been investigating a drive-by shooting and only realized long after the fact that the entire case made no sense. So what do y'all think, man? I'm just gonna ask y'all one question. Do you think that YNW Melly is guilty or innocent? And do y'all think that he's going to beat this case? I need y'all to let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section, alright? And that's it for the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video. Stay safe. Peace.